こんばんは、皆さん。
어서 오세요. 기다리고 있었어요. Welcome. 제 이야기를 들어보실래요? This actually happened to one of my friends. She lives in Korea, but I still keep in contact with her via Twitter. Her family used to live in this really old building. She didn't like that place, but they kind of had to live there due to financial reasons. Anyway, from the day one, she didn't like that place. She didn't feel good. She felt unsafe. Like someone was already living there and they were walking into someone else's house. But what can she do? She's just a kid. So she sucked up and made it work. One day, she was watching some shows in her room and she got thirsty. So she went out to get a glass of water. Since her parents didn't like it when she stayed past midnight, she had to keep it real quiet, So she didn't even turn on the light. She got her water from the fridge and that's when she felt it. She said what she felt was pure evil. It was filled with uncensored rage and aggression and despair. She felt it stare down at her from the top of the fridge. It was watching her, and she knew it was watching her. And it knew that she knew. She knew it was ready to jump out at her as soon as she turned her back. She was so terrified she couldn't even lift her head. So, keeping her eyes on the floor, she walked backward in the dark toward her room and ran in. She said she could feel its rage growing and growing as she was getting out of its reach. She told me not only her family, but her friends who were visiting for only a few hours had seen something in that house. It was usually a tall, thin man walking in a hurried steps.
So when I was 12, my dad decided to move us to the suburbs. He said he was sick of crazy city life, all the noise, but now I know he was just going through a midlife crisis. Anyway, we moved to this rural town. The house we bought looked like a normal building built around the 1980s. It had an iron gate, wood fence, this little yard, and a cute house. You know the type I'm talking about. Your classic suburban house. Anyway, so we moved in, and I honestly thought it was pretty cool. I had only lived in an apartment before, so it was nice to have a big living room and big windows, stairs. The house also had a lot of rooms, so I could have my own room for the first time. But my 4-year-old sister, she hated the place. She said, "This house is dirty." My parents said, "It's not dirty, it's just old." So we moved in and everything was fine. Everything was fine for the first week. Then there was this hot summer night, and only my parents' room had air conditioning. Me and my sister decided to sleep in there. So all 4 of us were sleeping on the floor. I was on the outer edge of this big blanket. In the middle of the night, I heard the strangest sound. It sounded like wet tapping, like a sound a fish would make when you throw it against the ground. And I heard something else too. It was the most horrifying sound I'd ever heard. It sounded like a seagull. That is, if a seagull can talk. No, it was more than a seagull. It was a cross between a seagull sound and an old tape playing at really fast speed. I can't describe that sound. It was horrible. I was really scared and I opened my eyes and I saw a pair of white feet dancing and jumping by the foot of the blanket. Just these white, ghostly feet. Whatever it was, it resembled a human, but it clearly wasn't a human. No human can move like that. It wore a dirty sack-looking thing, and its hair was this giant mess of black tangles. I couldn't see its face because the whole time it kept its head down. It stood right in front of my mom's vanity, and it was jumping up and down and dancing, its disjointed arms and legs flying in all directions. It was making that awful sound, that awful seagull cassette tape sound. I felt like the dance would never end, but suddenly it just stopped. And then I realized something. It was facing the vanity, but its toes were facing me. I felt my blood freeze as it took a step towards me. I closed my eyes shut so tight and pretended to be asleep. Slap, slap, slap. I could hear the wet, fishy footsteps, and I heard it crouching beside me. I could feel that its face was just an inch away from my face, because I could feel its cold breath on me. I don't know how long it went on. I just clenched my eyes so tight, and eventually I passed out. When I opened my eyes, it was 9 in the morning, and it was gone. Everything was fine. I told my parents what happened the night before, but they just dismissed me, saying I had a nightmare. But my sister pinched my arm and said, "A dirty woman makes a dirty house." We lived in that damn house for 3 years. I never saw her again, but I swear it wasn't a nightmare.